What's up, guys? It is I, RGT85, and as you can see here, I have a special guest with me. I have Spawnwave here. Spawnwave, say hello.
Hello, I'm here.
He's here, and basically, I want to make this video talking about the Nintendo Switch Pro, because the Nintendo Switch Pro rumors have definitely started up once again. A lot of people are talking about it, a lot of people are making videos on it, and I think those videos are great. I think there's a lot of good information in those videos, but most of this information that we've seen so far with the Nintendo Switch Pro, especially at this time of the year, is pretty much contingent on one major thing, and everything else is just sort of piecing together other information out there. So I'm definitely not saying that the information in those videos is necessarily wrong. It's just how you interpret the information that pretty much gives you a truth about what the actual Nintendo Switch Pro is. And I sort of see this information that's been given to us a little bit different than other people do. And just in case you are wondering, yes, that is a Beetlejuice costume in the background. If this video gets a lot of likes, a lot of shares, and if we get a bunch of entries into the Nintendo Switch Lite giveaway contest that we are doing in the pinned comment in the comment section down below, I will do a full dress up as Beetlejuice, hair, makeup, I have all the stuff, and I will do a full video as Beetlejuice. So, you know, Spawn, you gotta tell people about this video.
A ring fit video?
As Beetlejuice?
Yeah, that would be funny. I would watch that.
Down. I'm so down for that.
All right, we need at least 2,000 likes then for that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get 2,000 likes. Let's get a bunch of entries into the contest, and then we will do something like that. But I'm definitely not saying that those videos are necessarily incorrect. It's just how you sort of interpret the information. So pretty much the general consensus on the Nintendo Switch Pro rumors is contingent on one major thing. I think there's one major fact that everyone can agree on with this, is that the IGZO screen. So basically what the IGZO screen situation is back in August of this year, the Wall Street Journal reported that Sharp was creating the IGZO screen, which is being used for mobile technology, and that it would be used with the Nintendo Switch. Now, a lot of people at that time thought that that was going to be the screen that was in the improved Nintendo Switch model that came out in August, and the Nintendo Switch Lite that came out in September. However, people took apart the system. Spawnwave took apart his Nintendo Switch Lite. I'll have a link to that in the description box down below. Make sure you guys go watch that video. But upon doing that, there was no IGZO screen in that. It was pretty much the same screen that we had seen.
It was the Innolux, the standard screen that we've used for a while. Yeah.
So based on that, a lot of people then questioned, well, what is that IGZO screen doing then? Of course, the Wall Street Journal is pretty much what everyone is citing in their reports of this. There could be, you know, a possibility of a mistranslation, but going under the assumption that Sharp is working with Nintendo with the IGZO screen, now people are speculating, well, this must be a Nintendo Switch Pro model. And when you look at the IGZO screen on paper, and correct me if I'm saying anything incorrect here, obviously I'm not the tech guy, that's why you're on here, you are the tech guy, but from what I've researched on the IGZO screen, it's capable of much higher resolutions than the current Nintendo Switch screen, up to 4K, I believe.
Yeah, it is higher. You can do higher resolution, you can do higher frame rate, or I should say refresh rate, and of course deeper colors and everything as well. So overall, it's just a better screen in general.
Right, but that is, of course, you know, and a lot of people are looking at that and saying, well, if this IGZO screen is going to be used for a Nintendo Switch model, obviously it has to be a more powerful Nintendo Switch model. But I think one thing that a lot of people aren't realizing with this screen is simply putting the screen on the Nintendo Switch that we have right now isn't going to really improve anything beyond a battery life, because I believe the battery life is much more better with the IGZO screen, and of course the potential for better colors, because the Tegra chip that is used in the Nintendo Switch as of right now in all Nintendo Switch models, including the original, the revised version, and the Nintendo Switch Lite, is only capable of outputting in 720p, correct?
Yeah, 720p.
So that would mean, in theory, that they would have to revamp the whole Nintendo Switch Tegra system, the whole hardware of the system, in order for this screen to work on it and, you know, actually get the benefits of it beyond something just than a better battery life.
Yeah, you would need to improve the system in general to even take advantage of what would be a more expensive screen by quite a bit. I mean, it uses rare earth metals, as according to Version Daily, rare earth metals, indium and gallium. So unfortunately, because of that, the screens are just more expensive by quite a bit generally. Like, we see them in higher end phones, like I believe the Razer Phone 2 uses it. Basically, some of the phones that are geared more towards gaming on cell phones that don't really get the, I mean, cell phones aren't even set up really for that refresh rate, but things look very, very smooth on it. However, it has to be designed around that in general. And the current Switch, I mean, we talk about, I mean, what frame rate does Doom play at? Like 30 and below, right?
Yeah, it's like 30, and then I want to say the resolution at max is 540p in handheld mode.
Yeah, so we're just talking about it right now, just in handheld mode, when the clocks would be lower anyway. So I almost wonder if the IGZO screens wouldn't necessarily be used for higher resolution, as opposed to either better colors, or even maybe going into something like next generation, they use it for just higher refresh rate, and they put a marketing term on that, because we see the PS5 controller using basically the same thing that the Switch is using, but they're not even calling it HD Rumble. Nintendo brought that out first for a game console controller and label it HD Rumble, even though it's technology we've had for a long time now, and it works because it's marketing. So maybe that's what they could be using the IGZO screen for, not necessarily a Pro, but a next generation Switch that would leverage a high refresh rate.
And I think that's something that a lot of people are also sort of misinterpreting. It's sort of a twofold thing that you brought up, because first and foremost, the mobile market, I feel, is definitely very different than the console market is. A lot of people say, well, you know, mobile phones come out all the time, people upgrade their phones, but you know, your phone, especially if you're in you know, a business world or something like that, people are constantly on their phones. They're constantly using their phones. Whereas I feel like a gaming device is more of a luxury. If the case to be made that, you know, everyone's upgrading their phones, so everyone would upgrade their Nintendo Switch model to this better model, it was really true, I think you would have seen better sales for the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Not to say that they sold bad, but I don't feel like they necessarily set the market ablaze like a lot of people thought they would. A lot of people seem to just be happy with their standard PS4, whether it was the PS4 or the PS4 Slim. Same sort of thing with the Xbox One, whether it was the Xbox One or the Xbox One S. I just don't see the traditional gaming market really adopting these mid-generation refreshes all that much. And Nintendo themselves, when you look at them as a company, they've really only done 2 instances of hardware performance, and technically one of them was an accessory upgrade. You had the N64 expansion pack, which was pretty much just out of necessity. The N64 was able to do 3D games better than the PlayStation 1, but of course it just wasn't doing all that great, and so Nintendo, you know, needed something extra to make games like Donkey Kong 64, which was one of the few games that actually mandatory required the expansion pack, and then most games just saw a bit of a noticeable improvement. Games like Rogue Squadron have higher resolution textures, and then you had the new 3DS, which once again, the new 3DS didn't set the world on fire. Nintendo only released one game for it, the Xenoblade Chronicles game that was at the launch of the system, and then I want to say there was a total of 4 games that required a new 3DS, and there was just games that had sort of an expansion.
I think Minecraft, yeah, I think Minecraft was one of them.
Minecraft, The Binding of Isaac, and I think there was one more game, but it just doesn't seem to me like the mass market is ready to adopt something like these mid-generation refreshes quite yet.
Okay. You also have to, I mean, how long is the Switch life cycle going to be before they go to the next one? That's the other question. Is it going to be a 5, 6, 7 year cycle?
And that sort of plays into my next point that I wanted to bring up, and pretty much the final point with this. We're not going to make this a super long video or anything like that, but looking at the video game landscape, a lot of people are saying, well, the Nintendo Switch needs a Nintendo Switch Pro model because the PS5 and the Xbox One successor are looming on the horizon. Both of these are pretty much confirmed for 2020. The PlayStation 5 is officially confirmed for 2020. Most people are expecting the Xbox One successor. Has that officially been confirmed yet or no?
What, for holiday?
Yeah, for the Xbox One.
It should be. Oh, for Scarlet, yeah, that should be their holiday 2020 as well, because they've talked about it as well.
Right. So most people are under the impression that, okay, well, with these new, bigger, powerful systems coming out, the Nintendo Switch that is on the market right now is not even as strong as the baseline PS4 and the baseline Xbox One. So how are they going to sustain themselves with the PS5 and the Xbox One successors, the Xbox Scarlet, coming out around the same time? But to me, looking at the last 3 systems that we've gotten on the video game market should answer that question perfectly. When you look at the launch of the PS4, when you look at the launch of the Xbox One, when you look at the launch of the Nintendo Switch, there is one consistent thing with the launch of all 3 of those systems. And those systems were released at different times. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch was released in 2017, so we're gearing up on year 3. By the time these systems come out, it'll be gearing up for year 4 of the system. The first year and a half of those systems, if it's not a first-party game, if it's a third-party game, all of those third-party games, most of the time, I won't say all of them, but a vast majority of them are definitive editions, are complete editions, are games that released on previous systems, on the previous generation of system, and then were then enhanced to utilize, you know, better graphics and things like that of these new systems. So the main worry is that these third-party games that will be coming to the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet won't be compatible with the Nintendo Switch, since it'll be like almost like a generation and a half behind. But when you look at the timing of everything, those systems, as far as third-party games are concerned, you can't talk about first-party games because companies are always going to have their first-party games. But as far as the third-party games are concerned, those games, those big third-party games that won't be able to run on the Nintendo Switch, won't be coming out till like the 5th year of the Nintendo Switch's life cycle, which is when Nintendo will probably start talking about, you know, new hardware.
Right. Yeah. There'll be that gap year where they're still developing for the PS4 and the Xbox One, because there's that transition right now, and because the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet are supposed to be backwards compatible, why wouldn't you just develop for the PS4 for that year? And you'll see that, because then you could technically pop that disc into the PS5. But you'll see games probably still come to the Switch. I mean, here's the thing, like Star Wars is coming out, you know, next month, and that's not coming to the Switch now anyway. So what's the difference between now with that and 2 years from now with the PS5 and the Xbox Scarlet coming out? EA wouldn't make it for the Switch anyway.
Right.
So,
and there's always going to be those third-party games that for whatever reason just don't come to the Nintendo Switch because of, you know, it would be hard to downgrade or whatever. But I don't think that that's going to be as big of a problem just because of the timing of everything. By the time those third-party games that are built for the PS5 ground up, that are built for the Scarlet ground up, are going to be coming out or even talked about, the Switch is going to be in year 5 of its life cycle, which is probably going to be winding down. We may even hear about it. I don't expect it to be more than a 5 to 6 year life cycle with this system before a new system is announced. What do you think?
yeah, I mean, I could see that 5 to 6 year life cycle. They said they've commented on how they want to approach the more powerful systems when they come out, is they want to basically battle them with install size, and that's why the Switch Lite is out already. Like a $200 system already out in this life cycle is very, very fast, and that's their plan, is to just try. I think their goal is 100 million Switch units before the next generation starts. So they're pushing all these out. There might even be a cheaper model I think could come out, and you get to a point where the PlayStation 5 and the next Xbox have to restart their cycles. Then you'll see games, especially games out of Japan, come to the Switch just because there's an audience there. That's the biggest thing. And of course, games, like I said, will push the limits and they'll come out, and I'm sure Sony will do some cool things, and Halo Infinite looks good from Microsoft. But you'll see third parties, I think, push stuff to the Switch just because the install size is so large. But my question, Sean, for you is, how much would you pay for a Switch Pro, and how would they, if they're going to use an IGZO screen, which is already expensive, how would they get it to $400 then?
That's the main thing, because although, you know, the PlayStation 3 launched at $500, the Xbox One launched at $500 with Kinect included, I don't see Nintendo ever releasing a $500 system.
Well, they had the PS3 launched at $600.
Was it 600?
It was $600 for the 60 gig, because I remember I was there in line and I was like, I'm really about to spend $600 on the system. Yeah, it was because that came out, I think, the same time or the week after, week before. It was right around the Wii came out, and the Wii was $250. And I was like, this thing is like less than half of what this PS3 is. And the PS3's biggest game was like Motorstorm or something at the time, and launched with Twilight Princess.
Yeah,
Wii, and I was like,
I didn't get my PS3 until Metal Gear Solid 4 released, and then I got that. I think they did a bundle for it, and that was.
Although that PS3 does play PS1, PS2, and PS3 games all through HDMI.
Well, yeah,
so,
now I have one of those.
Yeah,
shout outs to Gilly the Kid. Gilly the Kid hooked me up on a bro price when he was selling some stuff.
Because the PS5 and the next Scarlet are rumored to be about $500 at this point, and people are wincing at that. Would people really be happy about spending possibly $500 on a Switch Pro, or $400 for one that wouldn't even take full advantage of an IGZO screen, because a lot of the money would go into that screen?
I don't think so.
Like, why wouldn't they just keep the current screen, bring it over, and then, you know, push a very stable frame rate with 720p resolution? I don't hear a lot of people complain as much about the screen. Like, the screen never seems to stick out to people. It's always the performance or the resolution that you see in games on the Switch. I don't hear a lot of people look at the screen and say, this is 720p, I can't use it. I see most people say it looks kind of blurry because the internal resolutions drop so low.
Well, the thing of it is, to me, is, as someone who plays a lot in handheld mode, when I play a game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in handheld mode, it's like, wow, you know, this game looks really good. And then you have some games that have that Vaseline effect, you know?
Yep.
You know, a lot of the, you know, like Crash Bandicoot, Insane Trilogy, it had a very strong Vaseline effect, and yeah, your eyes can adjust to it after a while. But I think when games run at 720p on the Switch screen in handheld mode, like, it looks great. It's not like it's not like you're blowing up a 720p image on a 55-inch, you know, monitor or anything like that where you can start to see things. You're on a much smaller contained screen, and it looks great on that smaller contained screen. So I don't even necessarily think that you need to worry about something like 4K in a handheld mode quite yet.
The other thing about the Pro using an IGZO screen, because that's like the big piece of information we have right now, because Sharp said that they were providing IGZO screens, is I don't know why you would use it in a Pro necessarily if you have to convince people to go to the next Switch system. I would feel like I would save the IGZO screen as one of the big marketing pushes and big reasons why you should upgrade to the next Switch. It's because it has this really cool, super fluid, you know, really, really vibrant screen. That should be one of the biggest things, because the Switch is this hybrid system.
Well, and the thing of it is that let's say that the IGZO screen is being done, it would make a hell of a lot more sense to do it 2 years from now when the prices of those screens and the technology is way less than it is right now, to put it in a Switch successor than it would be to build a Switch Pro from the ground up, retool the Tegra chip in order to utilize those capabilities, and then charge a high price point.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point as well. I think I'm just like right in the middle of if a Pro will exist or not. Like I'm like 50-50 right now. I don't know. It's tough. It's so tough right now.
I'm kind of the same, but I'll be honest, I am definitely starting to lean towards more that the Pro is maybe just, you know, a pipe dream at this point, which is crazy because I was on the Pro bandwagon. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you know, if I am wrong about this and all the other videos are right about this, I will be the first individual to come out and say, hey, I'm taking an L on this. Here's the Switch Pro. Let's talk about it. But yeah,
I can't quite write it off because my biggest thing is it's Nintendo.
And
they just released a Lite. They just released a system called the Switch that doesn't switch.
You're not
like,
wrong.
I just can't write them. They're about to release a game that uses a ring in an RPG fitness game.
And
like, I have such a hard time writing them off for anything at this point.
And like we said at the start of this video, if you get us 2,000 likes on this video and we get a bunch of entries into the Switch Lite giveaway in the comment section down below, I will do the Beetlejuice costume and do Ring Fit Adventure. But I want to wrap this video up. I think we've covered everything. We've gone over all the details. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this information. Are you Team Switch Pro? Do you see it my way? Do you see it other people's ways? It's all good at the end of the day. Just an opinion based on the information we got out there. I want to give a big thank you to Spawnway for coming on here and keeping me in check with all the technological stuff. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. Like I said, I'll have a link to his Switch Lite teardown video in the description box down below, so make sure you go check that out. And yeah, anything else to say?
No, I think we're good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.